Hey everyone, welcome back to my rather messy workbench. So I changed my setup a little bit. So I bought a ring light so you can see my pretty face better. What's happening was the light from the my overhead riser is just my whole face is kind of in a gnarly shadow. Oh, I need to shave. And you couldn't see my pretty face quite as well. Kind of moved some other stuff around. So I got random cables I'm going to have to straighten up here. But anyway, so I'm working on tonight is, I started working on just a couple of dual sticks, over 5200 dual stick overlays. And it's like, you know what? Oh, this camera does have better color reproduction. I switched cameras too, so the yellow actually looks yellow on here. So that's good. Yeah, this one here is the pretty honest reproduction of the color. This one's a little blown out right now, but you can see it actually looks yellow now. So I switched to a different camera. So yeah, this is looking dual sticks, and I realized, you know what? What really kills me time-wise is switching tools constantly. So I went through and made up bunch of these sub-assemblies. Well, what these are is, this is the, for the 5200, the version 3.2, I used this, I created this little circuit board so it cuts down on the number of crimps I need to do, and makes them just easier to do the final assembly work. So that is number one, and then just going through and attaching the potentiometers now and getting a gross approximation of what the pot should be turned at. So I realized I'm actually running low on IDC cable, which is this stuff here. So I actually just had to buy some. I think I have just enough now to finish these two dual sticks. But the good news is, let me turn that, bring this down so it doesn't blast up the camera. The good news is, this is just my magnifier. The good news is I have enough IDC and it comes in like a day or so. But once these two dual sticks are done, I'm caught up for the 5200 until like mid-October, which is good. So then I have an Intellivision I'm working on as well, but this will actually speed up all the 5200s because I've been doing the same operation over and over and over again, which is actually the most efficient way to do it. So I like the IDC, these rainbow IDC cables, so I can actually come back later, and when I do the wiring, it's a lot easier to understand your cable routing. The only issue I ever run into is if it splits too much and this little bit of extra binding insulation tends to hang out, and what it does is when you put it in, like this is 15, I have this, you see me pulling wires off because I need to get it down to 15 pins on one end, because it's only a 15 pin connector, and it'll actually kind of like push it off the one side and you won't get a good IDC crimp. And what that means is how these work, there's actually little really sharp V shapes that stab into the cable itself, and you want to make sure you're lined up really well. And it's the same concept if you're doing this side as well. It's the same exact kind of probing pins, so you want to make sure when you're going in, it's actually, this is a really good example. You see how much of this clear, come on, you can focus, there we go. See how much of this clear is left here? So that will bump it off from the side and screw with your, mess up your crimp. So let's go through and just shave it off with a little precision cutter. So if you ever look at these guys, there's actually a little arrow. Oh man, it's hard to see. Alright, there it is. See the arrow right by my wedding ring there? That is the one position. So I like having it coming down from the one position. And this is actually a 16 pin, so I have to make sure it is lined up on the number one side, because the number position 16 isn't actually used. There we go. And I like to look down into it and make sure everything's kind of lined up nicely. You can actually press it by hand a little bit to get started, because it's not that strong. So anyway, if you have to do a lot of IDC crimps, definitely get a crimping tool. And it has two sides. One side's got a little notch, this side doesn't. This is when you're doing DB connectors, this is when you're doing IDC connectors. So you just drop it in, and yeah, just the little notch locks right in and crimps it. And then you have a nice clean IDC crimp. And then you just flip it over, and this is the strain relief you snap on. So when you go to actually use it, it's all crimped up. So I've got two more to build here. Yeah, I'm starting to crimp these all together to finish off these controllers, and it's like, oh no, I actually ran out of this IDC cable. I buy usually 50 feet at a time, so I've gone through a bit of it. Is the television uses it as well when I'm doing the wiring for that. What I like to do is nice and perpendicular, so I can actually crimp it easier to visualize. And let's see, this one is ready. And then the lengths need to be super exact. So I'm going to finish crimping the IDC end, and I'll go through and crimp the DB end. So I'm just going to finish this off here. And I got one done already with the pots. Do with a nice gross adjustment to right around 75. So when I go to actually do the final assembly into the joystick, it makes it easier. Okay, that's done. Hold on just a second. Yeah, it does look better with the ring light. Cool. And you can change the color of the lights. Let's see. Like a cooler blue, even cooler, warm. It's a little. Yeah, it's better. Yeah, it gives me. Yep. So. Oh, so once I'm done with this, I want to show you one cool thing I did. I forget. I have to look up their name, who wanted it. There was a request to have a kind of a blocky overlay for the start, pause, and select switch for the 5200. So I went through and I printed a quick and dirty one. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. The main thing is don't switch tools all the time. So that's what kills you, time-wise. You want to keep using the same tool again and again and again. It makes it quicker. So even though it's taking a little longer to get the one controller out, the 5 after it will just fly right through because all the parts are made. Alright, and oh, before I forget, so this is kind of nifty. This is actually something I was toying with a while back. So this is a little less expensive version of the keypad instead of the big snappy buttons I have, the momentaries. So I came up with this little. So 3D printed overlay. I don't know if I need to make the hole smaller, but it's nice because it actually kind of guides your finger in there pretty well. And you can see I try to get the depth and sizing very similar to the original overlay. So I just printed this up, and it turned out pretty nice. I had good ironing on the top, so it actually looks pretty darn decent. That's just the bed's pattern, and then yeah, that's the so it turned out that's about the most chamfer I can do on there. It turned out pretty nice looking. Nice little 1mm chamfer. So yeah, I was thinking of playing with that, something like that. So it'll be I wish I had a better printer for printing actually start, pause, reset on there, but regardless, it looks pretty good. It doesn't look great with the traditional buttons I have, so this is, I think it would be a neat alternative. So I'll offer this as probably on my LT controller, which the reason I was building up extra parts is to finish that off as well. I have two varieties of that actually. Where is it? That one here. Ah, that one's over there. But this is probably going to be the original here with the traditional clicky. But then this one will have the this buttons that look kind of like this, which will have a kind of a OG look to it. So we'll see. So that should look pretty nice. I think the spacing is almost like, yeah, the spacing is actually identical between the two. But yeah, it doesn't look great with this though. It just doesn't work. But yeah, that'll be, I gotta cut one more of those, and probably, I think they requested a classic with this little keypad overlay, so that'd be kind of cool looking. I'm gonna try that. I do have a couple classics which use this keypad and the key as well. So you got quite the variety. So I got a couple dual sticks, an Andy, a classic, and something else. So yeah, just basically my full gamut of controllers I make. So that's it for this end. Now on to this end. So again, you go back to your crimping tool. You just swap this back around like so, and that gives you enough room to put the I'm not going to smash it yet. This goes in here, and you can crimp the DBs instead. Again, this one's harder to see, so I'm using the magnifier. Finally, as I get older, I don't mind using the magnifying stuff as much because it gets kind of hard to see. Oh, why is my nose so itchy tonight? Alright. Get your tool. That one's in there like that. Make sure we're all still lined up. Tail doesn't matter. Looks good. And then we can just finish assembling this. So yeah, I'm not going to bore you all the tears doing IDC connectors all night. Where's the backer for that one? That's the question. Trim you down a little bit because I can see the excess. both sides on this one. Okay. It's a lot harder to see these because if you look, come on, Mr. Camera, you can focus, focus, focus. Come on, you know you want to. There we go. There, you can see the one right there. So that's how you know you're in pin 1. Again, your hands can do a little bit of the initial like poke. This one not so much because you got a lot of pins to crimp at once. Let's see how it looks. Pretty good. Crimped all the way? Yeah, you are. Sometimes you get a nice good click, sometimes you don't. Where is the back for this guy? It's a string relief, string relief. String relief. Oh, there's one. One, two. What's wrong with you? Am I going crazy? I know I crimped 3 of them. Oh. There it is. Then one more. Looks nice. Come down from the top. So yeah, that little overlay thing looks pretty cool. I just need to figure out how to attach it. And I gotta modify my 2D CAD as well if I want to do that. That looks pretty cool, actually. There we go. So together. So now I got 4 of these built up. Now it's just a matter of finishing these off. This plugs into this. Actually, I'll solder it first. I'll grab a couple of pots. One there. I need to cut more pots down. Looks like I do. Cut one of them down. Alright. So I'm going to do some cutting a bunch of potentiometers in a minute. Just to get them shortened up, because I need to trim the length of it, and then there's a bunch of little extra pieces that stick out that actually mess with. I could have sworn I chopped a bunch of pots. That irritates me. No. See one more. Right. Well, I'll just use these 2 up. Oh no, that's an old one. Alright, that's gonna be it for tonight. I'm gonna keep working on this. I'm gonna cut a bunch of pots down and then get them ready in some basic adjustments, and then I got to go through and cut a bunch of joysticks and then do some final assembly. So at least I'll get all these pots cut down, mounted up, and adjusted, and to see if I have enough time to get all the joysticks built up. So that's it for now. It's not too late at night. I want to get to bed on time. I'm tired. So the good news is, not this week. Well, the week after this week is Thanksgiving week in the U.S., so I'll be taking that whole week off. So if I have any orders, particularly the 5200 AV out mods, those take some time to do because I haven't done them in a long time. That'll be done during that week, so everything is going to be all caught up. So by the end of Thanksgiving week, I should be like cleared out of everything, which is good. So I'll have like, I can go in the Christmas season, December I should say, without having to worry about having too many orders on my plate, unless I get a weird rush of orders. But that is what it is. But at least when I get, by the end of November, I want every order done, so I don't want to have anything hanging over me. So, all right, now I gotta do some, cut some bunch of pots down. I could have sworn I cut more down. Maybe I didn't. Oh well. Everyone, thank you for watching, and time for me to exercise my hands a little bit in terms of getting cutting through some stainless steel, because those pots actually, their shaft on these things are stainless, so they're kind of hard. I have these big 2-foot bolt cutters I use for cutting these down. So I tried smaller. I tried like a 12-inch. I think I tried like a 18-inch. Still wasn't enough. So the 2-footer. So I have these giant 2-foot bolt cutters down here to cut through this darn steel because it's so hard. So everyone, thanks for watching, and have a great night.